PINE is welcoming. PINE is embracing.
When I think of PINE, I think of a love of learning, a compassion for people, and a curiosity about analysis and about life.
There's the quality of meeting in people's living rooms, having this warm atmosphere, and I think curiosity. That's the thing that I think drives this place.
I chose to train at PINE because it's a small community, and I like the fact that it wasn't hierarchical. I like the diversity of the people, the students, and the faculty, that there were psychiatrists and psychologists and social workers. I really liked the people. When I went to an open house, I felt at home. So that's why I chose PINE.
I think that there's a very specific thing about PINE, and I think it's the essence of what separates it from other places. And it's a culture and an attitude and an atmosphere of exploration and of listening to one another. There are very articulate classical thinkers, and there are, very nuanced, newer age thinkers. PINE is a place where people try to be very rigorous about every bit of psychoanalytic history and literature that's ever been written, and at the same time, at the end of all that, pause and say, okay, now what do we actually think? What do we actually do? How do we create it and make it our own? How do we adhere and think about the things that we've learned, and at the same time be willing to, be open to new ideas?
The first feeling I had about PINE early on was the openness of people, and the sense I had that we were all in it together, whether it's faculty and candidates, whether it's analysts and analysand, we're all in it together. And how do we learn from each other?
PINE has the capacity of approaching education the way ideally one would approach an analysis. And people talk about that, but that's hard to do. It involves being unbelievably respectful of what people actually say, of really listening to what's happening in the groups that are talking together. In my mind, analysis and analytic training shouldn't be fundamentally different processes.
The kind of person I want to see coming to be trained at PINE is the kind of person who has been coming to be trained at PINE. People who are very curious about behavior and who can understand that knowing themselves is a major part of what you need to know if you're going to be a good analyst.
We have a voice as candidates. We're really listened to and we're heard, and that feels important to me.
The classes were small, intimate, and very stimulating. Every class had something unique. You study a particular phenomenon, let's say transference, countertransference, and then you would read Freud, and you would compare Freud with subsequent writers and theorists. So that allows you to have the basic understanding where it started and then how it evolved and developed. So I think the idea of studying a phenomenon rather than a particular theorist allows you to do a comparison, but start with the basics. I was blessed to have supervisors who were not just interested in my cultural background, but were interested in how I incorporate my own background into my analytical work.
I feel like it's a privilege to be a psychoanalyst, to work with patients, to hear about their lives and their struggles. But I have also felt privileged to be a supervisor, to work with candidates who are also growing and learning about psychoanalysis and learning what it's like to be clinicians.
Teaching at PINE is an exciting experiment, at least for me, because it brings together all the different elements of analysis and all the different elements of theory into one place, and it capitalizes on the reason I think people come to PINE. We're there together in small groups. We put our heads together, we think about what the problem is, and we encourage each other to play with the material.
I view the world and people differently because of my psychoanalytic training.